All frucked up, July 1st, 2025, day 58 on the diet formerly known as the sugar diet. So, 266.0 pounds this morning. Yams, jasmine rice. This evening was, barbecue pulled pork on toasted rye bread with some pickle slices. Pretty fantastic. Not vegan. Still playing with the notion of eating far, far less meat. But, like Zach S. on Sugar is Life, which is a great YouTube channel. Check it out if you haven't. Or I should say, I recommend you check it out. Obviously, free will is paramount, but worth your time, right? Zach's got a great channel. I didn't feel bad about the barbecue pulled pork. Barbecue sauce, it's high in sugar. I avoided it like the plague when I was on a low carb, high fat diet. I would say that I had zero in years. I probably had zero barbecue sauce. So having it on a pulled pork sandwich tonight was rather nice. I wanted to avoid the bun, right? So I went with rye bread and had it toasted. Wow, that was unexpectedly good. So, there's problems with modern wheat, because it's sprayed with glyphosate generally. In fact, I read an article at one point in time that was talking about dwarf wheat and how, if they spray it with enough glyphosate, it literally kills the plant. But in its like dying gasp, right? I understand that analogy doesn't really apply to plants necessarily, but dwarf wheat, when it's like sprayed with an abundance of glyphosate, it produces even more yield, more of the seed heads. And I hope I'm using the right term for that because I'm not a botanist. In any case, that's the right word for a plant person, right? Where I'm going with this is, I promise I'll get this together, but I'm heavy on the starch. I enjoyed a barbecue pulled pork sandwich tonight. The pork might have been fatty. I don't know. At the point that it's like pulled pork, you can't even tell like how much of it was lean meat versus how much fat might have been distributed through that serving of pork. But I just said pork butt. Wow. I'm thinking about actually like deleting this and starting over, but I think I could try to save it. I'm going to try and save it. The weight loss has been consistent in spite of the fact that I have, become like a starchivore, with the sweet potatoes and the jasmine rice. And, the pulled pork sandwich was just a treat this evening because I was like, well, I haven't eaten since like early afternoon and I'm kind of hungry, but not hungry. But then again, to reference Zach S. yet again on the Sugar is Life YouTube channel, he talks about your body's got to feel safe. And I get that. Like, if we don't feel safe, we're not going to accomplish anything. And I suppose on a physiological level, then on like a cellular... Wow. This video is kind of a train wreck. But on a cellular level, we have to feel safe then too. It's not just a mentality, right? Our body has to be like, okay, I know there's another meal coming. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to slow the metabolism. Everything's good. So even though I didn't have much of an appetite, I went ahead and had a small portion of food. I consider a full barbecue pulled pork sandwich a small portion, but I'm a big guy, and maybe that's some of the thinking that led to me being overweight. Who knows? Like, oh, I'm a big guy. Like, I'm big, so eat big. yeah, and then I became even bigger, which was not optimal. Yeah, I feel better. I can tell that the body fat stores are shrinking. I'm not currently doing an abundance of body weight exercises. I'm not hitting my bench press that's, across the room here. I'm just in reduction mode. So I'm eating in abundance, but I'm reducing my body mass. And I'm doing that predominantly with starch. And, that's basically metabolized as glucose. I don't yet have a string of glucometer tests to bear out the fact that my body's handling glucose properly. So if somebody wanted to pick me apart on that, are you measuring your blood glucose? No, not currently. Inflammation's down, body fat stores are shrinking, scale feedback is trending downward, mood's good, no brain fog, no mood swings. Just very stable, just feeling very, to use, because I'm a little metaphysical on this channel, to use the words of Abraham Hicks, or what is that, Esther Hicks, that channels Abraham. I feel tuned in, tapped in, turned on, everything's good. In gearhead terms, I'm running on all cylinders, I don't know that I have that much more to say. I mean, I dabbled in the sugar diet, all in on the sugar diet. So, I was on camera with a bag of Nerds clusters. I had some of the fruit slices on occasion, those candied, sugar-coated, air quotes, fruit slices. I did some of that, yeah. And the inner child was like, yeah, I get to eat candy. And then I'm like, this stuff doesn't make me feel so great. So maybe if I'm going to carb up, I should stick to what nature provided, or at least as close to that as possible. So, the sugar was a short-lived thing. I'd say I hit it heavy for a week, and I'm like, this is not the way. It might produce weight loss, but so would limb amputation or the methamphetamine and vodka diet, cigarettes and cocaine, right? So, there's just certain things that I'm not going to dabble in. That's a choice for some folks. I referenced free will earlier. So if they want to exercise their free will and go do that thing, I'm not going to say more power to them, but okay, go do your thing. I'd like to approach this with at least a little bit of focus on actual nutrients, healthy sources of food, to the extent that my local grocers allow me to source nutritious food. Because, I haven't hit up any of the farmers markets yet or anything like that. But my point with all this rambling is that, I feel good. The starch is working, There were some channels that cautioned against the use of starch, that the results would come very slowly. Potentially, you'd be likely to stall out on the scale. But man, I tried to embrace the mindset that the scale was all that matters, but it's not. The scale, I'm already having this thought that I'm about to compare a scale to a barometer, which is silly. It's illogical, but yeah, the scale is a good barometer of where you're at with your fat loss. Sure, it's a good indication of the downward trend that your healthy diet is bringing about. But it shouldn't be the singular focus. I disagree with that completely. I think it starts with, recognition that when we're overweight, we have an issue. And then it's, the decision to make a change, to do something about it. And then I think we just to emphasize to emphasize the point that there shouldn't be emphasis on the scale. I'm full of contradictions tonight. Or is that an oxymoron? I don't know. Maybe I'm the moron. But yeah, decide that there's a change you want to make. Decide what goal it is that you have in mind. Decide, what the steps are, the action steps to get you to that goal. And then just relax. Relax. Take the necessary steps. Ask yourself the questions that are going to keep you in line, keep you on track. What would a healthy person do? I've gotten a lot of mileage out of that one. So, what would a person do if they were primarily starch-based and they're trying to live a low-fat, high-carb life? How often would they eat? What are the intervals for the meals? How many meals? Are we doing, 3 meals a day, 3 squares? Are we doing 2? Are we doing, breakfast and lunch that are, high carb, low fat? And then because of the diet maybe that we're transitioning off of, if it was the ketogenic diet, are we doing a ketogenic meal in the evening? Because I think when it really comes down to it, I haven't read his book, The PE Diet by Dr. Ted Naiman, but I was a big Dr. Ted Naiman fan back in the day. I still think the guy has a lot of good things to say, but my point is here, if you're doing high carb, you got to keep the fat low. And if you're doing high fat, you got to keep the carbs low. I've done enough research over the past 427 weeks that when I put the two together, I gained 40 pounds of body fat in 60 days. I was eating to satiety. That's it. I wasn't going crazy. Yeah, there's an argument to be made that at times, if I was doing any sort of fasting, that the meal was very, it was very much like the warrior diet, where it was just eat all that you can, maybe not all that you can, all that you want in the evening. So yeah, have I binged on food before? Yeah. Is that a thing anymore? No. But I think it's the carbohydrates. Let me back up. I know from personal experience that the combination of carbohydrates and dietary fat, that's a recipe for increasing your body mass. The fat gain there is just out of this world. Out of this world. And, for people that are just operating day to day on the standard American diet, and they're kind of oblivious, it wouldn't surprise me really if people don't know what a macronutrient is. There's some subset of the population that would not know the term macronutrient. And, that's fine, except that they can't just go through life selecting whatever fast food is nearby or whatever processed food is in the grocery store, because the combination of the macronutrients with the high fat and the high carb, they're ignorant of the fact that they're feeding their body with high carbs and high fat. I think a lot of the folks are, they're busy, they're raising kids, they're working jobs, sometimes multiple jobs, and they're just grab and go, and they're not thinking about the long-term consequences. So, I will say, though, that it kind of bugs me that the fast food places, they take all this flack, they take all the heat when we're focusing on health and wellness. And it's but why aren't we, shaking our finger at the grocery store too? Because, if you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, you're probably going to get mostly healthy foods. But the grocery stores sell processed foods on a scale that I don't even think McDonald's can match. You know, even with their billions and billions served, think about every single grocery store in every town, county, state. You know, it's just, it boggles the mind. Boggles my mind anyway, just the scale of processed food. And yeah, I've probably rambled on long enough. But yeah, the typical person that's busy and distracted and just doing the grab and go, yeah, I mean, maybe a lot of them realize it's not their best choice, but they haven't run into any serious health complications yet. They haven't got like a slap, figuratively speaking. They haven't got that wake-up call like, oh shit, you know, here's this health outcome that I didn't anticipate. Maybe I should have, but I didn't see this coming. You know, I was just living life. And I think that speaks volumes to like our food environment, because if our default setting is to live this busy grab and go life, then if we're not going to put any thought into that, and we're basically relying on the food companies, the fast food chains, you know, if they just had healthier items on the menu, and they could still have like high carb foods and high fat foods, but like similar to the Gracie diet that I've just seen because of my jiu-jitsu training, there's certain food combinations. Well, even the fast food chains could do that. Like, if you're ordering from this side of the menu, it's all high fat. If you're ordering from this side of the menu, it's all high carb. And, you know, don't cross the streams. I think that's a Ghostbusters reference. But, yeah, like, don't combine these two. Have your fast food from this side of the menu. Have your fast food from this side of the menu. Don't mix the two up. It's not going to be good. But I've taken up enough of your time. So I hope everyone had a great day. And if you stick with me to the end, you're a very patient person. Because I don't know that I ever approached anything that was a clear, coherent point. But regardless, I had fun. Hope you enjoyed the video. See ya.